Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the President of the European Parliament, Jerzy Buzek.
Good evening, dear friends, dear President Martens, dear President Daul, colleagues, vice presidents, all the members of EPP party delegations from member states, from the European Parliament, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last time I will address you as President of the European Parliament. Thank you very much that you are so patient. It's not a very comfortable situation for all of us, but there are very important votes, and we must decide about important things for our future as EPP party. 2.5 years ago, I became President of the European Parliament, as you very well know. This nomination would not have been possible without the support of my party, EPP. Even more, it was entirely your proposal and your idea. First of all, President Joseph Daul and my colleagues from the European Parliament, strongly supported by President Martens and colleagues from the EPP party. Well, I would like to underline very strongly that I remember all the time whom I owe the nomination to. And thank you very much for this possibility to act on the European scale and to represent you, my political family. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, let me be back to the past for a moment, when my country gained independence, thanks to the solidarity movement. We had a dream to be a part of the European community. Very simple. This dream was as incredible in those times as some decades earlier to reach the moon by mankind. At the end, to step down on the moon turned out to be possible. Our dream on the EU membership came true too, but it was not easy to reach. We had to work very hard. When I was responsible for the Polish government, we were carried out 5 large public reforms: administration reform, health service, education, pension system, and additionally coal mining industry. We did it because we knew what was our long-term objective: better governance, improved economy, social welfare, and as an award at the very end, accession. My compatriots were suffering. Unemployment rate 22, 24, even 26%. In some regions, much more than 30. But accepted that because the dream about being in Europe and being better organized was strong enough to make them go through these sacrifices. That experience was an incredibly important one, and it tells me that the people can accept radical changes if they know why. Today, Europe has exactly the same challenge. Let's not be so afraid. It's my opinion that the Europeans won't accept the change. They will if they understand why. We have to give to Europeans a new great vision for 21st century, refresh the European dream. I have recently visited some of our neighboring countries. Many of them, I would even say, in North Africa, in Western Balkans, few months earlier, also Eastern partners. They look at Europe for inspiration. We are still something like European dream for them. In the same time, we Europeans are losing faith and we complain. Well, we should understand our citizens, but let us put a very dramatic question. We have to ask ourselves, this question is, what do we have to do to make everybody believe once again in our European project, in our European dream? First, we have to rebuild trust. It was a lot of remarks on this issue. This crisis is, first of all, a crisis of trust. We know very well about that. We have lost our faith in each other. Our citizens no longer trust us. Our banks no longer lend to each other. And many governments no longer trust that the necessary reforms will be made by other governments, or that agreements are stuck to. To tame the markets, we have to control policy. We must show leadership and be credible. Markets no longer believe that we can act decisively. And we are running out of time. No country is safe anymore. Even the strongest economies can not sell easily their bonds. We need to earn trust again. I therefore appeal to you to understand the sense of urgency. It is a proper appeal because you represent all the member states in this hall. And also, I appeal for your full support for the radical, ambitious action which will make it possible to strengthen financial discipline in the euro area and outside euro area in the European Union. This is the only way to defend Europe from risks in the future. Dear colleagues, today, as a political family, we need to decide on what kind of European Union we want. Each generation after the Second World War should decide. First of all in the 50s, then in the 80s. Now it's time for us. I believe we have to send a clear message that we want to stay united. As someone said to me recently, markets and investors are waiting for a sign, strong signal. If they don't get it, they will be against. And they are strong, as we know. We, thanks to our civilization of open, free market, global market, have created their strength. My second issue, second necessary, we should reorganize ourselves. The Schuman-Monet method of shared sovereignty has served us well. The single market, very good example, is one of our great achievements. Since 1992, it has created 2.5 million jobs and 165 billion extra euros in GDP. Enlargement has brought stability and prosperity not only to the new member states, but to the EU as a whole. An extra 222 billion euros of trade was added to the EU 15 since 2004, thanks to the enlargement. Our problem today is not that we have gone too far with European integration and even with enlargement. Might sound threatening today for many citizens, maybe even politicians. Yet a strong, more federalized Europe, playing an important role in the world, is as much less dangerous outcome than a weak union divided by national interests and incapable of acting. As you very well know, as a political family, we are very powerful. I should not even mention the number of governments, well, more than the half in the European Union, and also all the European institutions, together with the Council today and Eurozone. We can change Europe for better. But my question is, do we really have the will to change it? We have no choice. Change will happen because it has to. Either we will lead this change or this change will drag us. We can take one decision, and we should take it here in Marseille to face this change together as an EU of 500 million citizens and all the 27 member states together, grounded in the community method, with the European Parliament representing also the Eurozone and European Commission as a governing body. And let me say, point number third, we must show determination. And let us repeat once again, and have the political will to act. For too long, we were choosing the easy policy, paying off today's successes from the pockets of future generations, which seems not to be cross-generations solidarity, and neglecting difficult but necessary steps. This policy must not continue. We know very well about that. I'm talking about structural reforms. We know that very well: reduction, budget deficit, extension of retirement age, making labor markets more flexible, and so on, so on. Also, very big important question: if we are ready to defend, or in which way we would like to defend our European social model. Is also quite fundamental question to our political family. I therefore appeal to you to quickly introduce these changes, all the changes which are necessary on the member states level, honestly explaining the reasons for them and making it clear to our citizens that these sacrifices will benefit them in the long run, and to implement strategy of growth, because there is no survival without growing economy, like it is projected in 2020, Europe 2020 strategy. Fourth, we must convince our citizens of crucial importance and responsibility of members of parliaments, national and European Parliament. The challenges are well known. What is important is how we respond to them. We are sometimes afraid to go to our electorates with difficult solutions because of the concern that they will reject our proposals. As the President of the European Parliament, I have met thousands of citizens over the last 2.5 years, also on your behalf. I believe that the solid European majority exists, which accepts integration that goes deeper than it has been before. Today, more than ever, we need to create a genuine European civic space just for such a deep discussion. Even convention on the treaty changes, if it is happening, we haven't had decided yet. But such a convention could be a very useful tool to inform our citizens what the European Union is about and why we are discussing so deeply many problems of today's economy, today's social welfare and financial instability. And let me say, we can explain in this way to our citizens what we are doing. In the dozens of visits with the European Union I had in the past years, I always tried to meet civil society, students, journalists, entrepreneurs, business leaders, scientific teachers and others, to explain what the EU added value is, to explain why solidarity is needed and why solidarity should valid only with deep responsibility. They were very interesting and deep discussions. I can assure you, our citizens are open for such a discussion. And they also opened for our arguments. Today is a time to believe again. If our founding fathers were not believers, we would never have created the European coal and steel community. It was very, very difficult. We should imagine that. If I and my friends were not optimistic many years ago, we would never have formed Solidarity, and the Berlin Wall would probably fall many years later. Today, if we are not ready to make the changes necessary, we will not provide the hope that people need, the hope for a better future. And the last point, number 5, come back to the values of Europe. We need to believe again in the fundamental values which have brought peace and prosperity for the last 60 years to Europe. Solidarity, shared sovereignty, responsibility, and a method of working together that no one is left behind, no matter how big the crisis is. Especially because we are European People's Party. It means Christian Democrats. This symbolic slogan, values, should be of crucial importance for us. Let me remind once again, because each of us has his own experiences. And in 25, 30 years ago, in my country, we developed the slogan, no bread without freedom. It means no prosperity without democracy. And then, no freedom without solidarity. So it means no democracy without solidarity. And now we know in the European Union that the last slogan is also very important, no solidarity without responsibility. So we have four very important values: democracy, solidarity, responsibility, and together we can create prosperity for our citizens. Dear friends, I started from this story on European dream. Let me finish. For the end, I would like to say something about the miracles. Politics, as Hannah Arendt said, is the only domain, except for religion, when the miracles are needed. The miracle happened in my part of Europe in 1989. Certainly, that was a miracle. But the miracle happens currently each day when the visitors come to the European Parliament Visitor Center and leave it inspired, full of enthusiasm. Do you know what they say? Simply, that was true miracle 60 years ago to create European community. We believe in it, they say, leaving the visitor center. They still believe. We European leaders also need this enthusiasm and belief in miracles. And last sentence, let us show the markets and our citizens that our member states trust each other, that the EU is serious, and we are serious about that we believe in European integration, that we will stay united, and that together we will always be stronger. Thank you very much.